Welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast, where we talk about struggles and celebrations that leaders and entrepreneurs experience on their journey to success. I'm your host, Kristina, and I'm passionate about helping you achieve massive amounts of success at work and at home. We'll talk about all things people and organizational wellness, share relatable stories, and feature insightful guests because quality people and processes are at the heart of every success story. Ready to learn, grow, and have fun? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Business Building Blocks podcast. I'm your host, Kristina Schmitt. You start a business, you have to start hiring people because you've grown it, it's been successful. Now your team of 1 has now grown to 3, now it's 7, now it's 30. And you're saying, oh my gosh, I don't even know why I hired some of these people. I feel like this one's not getting it. This person never quite does it right, and I end up redoing it, or I have to keep this one close to me because I'm the only one who can do it right. Does any of this sound familiar? So many times when we start to bring a team on, when we start to grow things, we have a hard time letting go, number one. But number two, we think people get what we want them to do. We think they understand. We think they should just know. Because we just knew. We figured it out. We were able to say, this is something I really want and work hard to get it. But the problem is everybody's brains work differently, number one. No one can read your mind, we'll say. Number two, no one can read your mind. Number three, we all have a slightly different take and a slightly different perspective on everything. So clarity becomes very important. I had someone say to me once that the perfect team size is 1. And that's because there's never a communication issue. Everybody always understands what's going on, and there's never any misunderstandings. So as you start to grow, the more those communication issues get in the way, and the more that communication and that proper communication and that clarification and that follow-up and feedback loop become important and become critical to everybody understanding their role and executing it appropriately. As every business owner knows, you're constantly trying to spread your message, trying to share with people what you do for them, how you can help them so that obviously your business grows, but that you can help more people, that you can impact more lives, that you can do more good. And I've been doing the same. So I've been working on mine, and I've been trying to better describe what I do for my clients. And the line that I've come up with is I help leaders get their teams to do what they were hired to do. When it first came out, when I first came up with it, well, actually, when my coach and I first started putting it together, it felt too harsh. It was like, well, I'm not trying to control people. I'm just trying to get the team working together to work harmoniously. And really my overall motivation around that is because I've seen so many struggling leaders, and I've been a struggling leader myself, struggling because I'm operating outside of my geniuses, struggling because I'm not delegating appropriately, and struggling because I'm not giving feedback appropriately, and struggling because there's just a lot to do when you're leading an organization. There are tons of things to do. So we need to learn how to focus on the things that are the most critical for us to do and make sure that everybody else is doing all of those other things around us so that our business thrives, so that we can get the things done that need to get done, and we can grow, we can be successful in our business and at home. Because when you start to measure success, you can't just measure it by how you're doing in your world of work. I know that a lot of us have talked about like, what is our holistic life? But the one thing I really stress with my clients is that you need to understand where you want to be personally so that you can get there, so that you can be overall successful, and so that you're winning in all areas. If you're winning and then your kids never know who you are, or they never see you, and they're like, mom or dad, they just spent all their time at work, I don't have a relationship with them. That's not winning. If you're always working on a family vacation and never actually turn it off and relax, yet your business is successful, that's not winning at life. And in order to win, we need to win in all of our realms of life, our work life, our family life, our spiritual lives. We need to be winning in all of those areas. Health lives, right? Like all of those areas are critical to winning at life or getting to where we all want to end up. So how do we do that? So the first things, really there's many aspects to all of it. First of all, as a leader, you need to understand where you're going. Where do you want to be? And this is on a personal end only. Where do you want to go in life? What are your dreams? What is that bucket list thing you want to do? So when you start to understand that, you start to say, okay, these are the things that I really think I want to do. Okay, so you put that out there. Then we need to start to understand ourselves. So as we start to learn who we are, we start to get our connection. You know, for me, it's a faith-based connection. I'm a Catholic faith. I am a daughter of God, and that is who I am. That is my identity. When I understand that better, I can then do better in life. I can function better. I can show up the way I'm supposed to show up. So you start there, then we start to understand our strengths or where we like to do things, our wants and our needs to be happy, to be joyful. So I always start with working genius. So we start there with the working genius, and that is a glimpse into who we are. Sometimes we can use other things like Myers-Briggs or motivation code, or some people use Colby. So any of those other ones are also nice insights into who we are and how we operate. So once we better understand ourselves, where we want to go in life, now we can start to communicate that to others. But until we can understand that little bit about ourselves, we're going to communicate a little bit of a mixed message. Or we're going to start sprinting or working towards something we don't really want to do. So you can kind of understand, you can start to see that a big part of getting your team to do what you want to do is first understanding what you want to do and first understanding yourself and where you need to be. Next thing, we need to start to set expectations. The biggest expectation around is the strategy area. So you start to look at, I use the 6 critical questions for strategy, so your business strategy, but I use those 6 critical questions that are laid out in Patrick Lencioni's book, The Advantage. So those ones, I love them because when you talk about mission, like vision, mission, values, you start talking about all those things. It's not these fluffy words because we're not trying to, what's this vision statement that we're going to put out in our marketing things? It's not about that. The very first question is, why do we exist? It doesn't have to have anything to do with your business. It could be totally off the wall, but it's, why do we exist? What is my company doing to make things better? Then we get into how we behave, which is our values, but those core values. I've got a podcast on that if you want to have a listen to that one, and a couple blog articles as well where I talk about the difference between the different types of values and the importance of clarifying what the core ones are. So these are like 3 things that is so innate into how you operate as a person and a business that you couldn't possibly imagine not doing that. So that is different than laying out those core values. Like, we respect each other, we're honest in our thing, like those are different. Those are different because everybody does those. When we talk about those core values, those are the things that are innate in us, that are differentiators for us in life and business. So once we start to understand that, now we can start to understand who is around us or who we need around us. So we start working with that team. So I always say, let's use the working genius because we're going to make that team. We've got to understand who it is that we have around us currently and how that work is going to flow, and how those people are going to be best performing because they're getting joy and energy from the work that they do. We got to remember, everybody's going to have to work in frustrations and they're going to have to work in competency sometimes, but we want the bulk of the work to be done in the genius, because that's how we have empowered employees. That's how we have employees who really understand what they want to do and really are bought into what they want to be doing. I was having a conversation just yesterday with a client, and he's like, well, we need founder juice. And I'm like, yeah, you do need founder juice in that. And there are ways to trickle some of that founder juice, or like that same excitement that the business owner has, to trickle that into the team. And that is through communicating that why we exist, or that vision. That is through allowing them to do what they do best every day. That is through giving them ownership of the things they want ownership of, so they feel like they own things. where they feel like they're contributing, where they feel like they're listened to, where they feel respected. And those are those things where they have a camaraderie even in their workday and their team. Those are those things that motivate us the most. So understanding and allowing people to see the direction that the company is going, as well as seeing that they can operate in those geniuses, they can contribute, and their contribution is critical. Just to clarify that, give an example, an illustration of that. There's a story about the cathedral. So there's a cathedral being built and there's 3 workers. So first there's a bricklayer, and you go and ask, okay, what are you doing? I'm laying bricks. Okay, cool. Then you ask, the next one, and he's the stone shaper. Like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm shaping this stone here. Okay, all right, cool. And then the third one, he's kind of picking up and cleaning up. And you say, oh, what are you doing? And he said, I'm building a cathedral. And there's just so much of a deeper meaning behind that cathedral building than just this little bit and just this little bit. However, everybody knowing that their contribution is just as important and just as critical as the other person's contribution, that allows them to feel that empowerment. And how do we do that? We do that through leading well, through communicating proper expectations, through following up when they're not being met, through helping people see where their piece fits into that overall vision. This is where, working with a coach, getting some proper leadership training, making sure that you as the leader are operating at the top level. You are growing that community. You are creating that culture where we're always improving, where everybody's contributing to their best level, where everybody feels that they've got a part and they're doing their best work. And we do that, again, first by understanding ourselves, but next by improving our skills in how we lead and how we bring people out. So the next phase of that is, okay, so I've done the thing. I've communicated my vision. I've, set the stage. I know where I'm going, and people still aren't rowing in my direction. It's going to happen because this is life, right? There's still going to be people that are not operating the way we want them to. So what do we do? Ultimately, it comes down to one of 2 things, but there's of course subsets beneath all of the both of those things. But it's either the skill or the will. So by the skill, either they don't know how to do it or they don't know what the expectations are. So they don't fully comprehend what it is that they're meant to do. So they either don't know how to do it, they don't comprehend it, or perhaps they don't actually have an aptitude for it. So I always like to use this example. I am 5 feet tall. I could have the best basketball skills and have all this kind of training, but there's still a height difference. I'm never going to dunk. Like, I cannot jump 5 feet. So there's always going to be a gap in my aptitude. So it's those 3 things that are around the skills. So how do we understand the skill of our people? Well, we talk to them. When we give feedback, we clarify and we ask these questions. Okay, well, tell me what you like. If it's the job expectation they're not getting, okay, tell me what you feel is the expectation. Where's that bar? Where's that line of where performance should be? So you just get them to tell you what they're thinking and what they're seeing. And then you can say, oh gosh, I never talked to you about this. You know what? Maybe you're working too hard here and not enough here. So let's shift you to here. And so you can start clarifying. You can say, you know what? We never trained you here. Let's get you on a course, or let me coach you or pair you with somebody who can help you develop that skill more. So that's the skill side. The other side is the will. So how much do they want to do it? So this one's a little bit, less concrete, obviously, but this is that motivation factor. So that can either be they don't get the whole overall vision, right? They don't buy into why we're doing this, and they just see their part as sweeping the floor. So they are demotivated by that. It could also be they're working outside of their geniuses or their motivation areas, and the work itself is demotivating for them. And so they're just losing energy every single day. Or it could be that, forgetting what my third one was, or it could be that they just don't want to. The one that everybody jumps to first is the one I forget. A lot of times when we have problems like, hey, this person is smart, they get it, they know what they're doing, we know they know how to do it, so they have the skill. A lot of times it's the will that gets in the way. And the first thing that people jump to is that they don't want to do it, or they're lazy, or something along those lines. That should be the last one. That should be the absolute last thing, because judging someone's character is not our place. When I do the 6 types of working genius, I talk about something called the fundamental attribution error. And what that actually is that when something goes wrong and we look at ourselves, we understand the mitigating circumstances that have happened to make it go wrong. Like there was an accident, so obviously I'm late because there was an accident. Like we get that. But when it's someone else, we attribute it immediately to their character. Oh, that person's late today. Oh my gosh, they must not care about what we have going on right now. And it's like, we don't ask. So we want to make sure we're not committing that fundamental attribution error with our team members, because number one, we may lose great people. Number two, we're going to insult them, or we're going to come at them with this "you're lazy" attitude, and they're never going to share what's really going on. Maybe they're not going to share that I feel so drained by all of my work and I don't want to do it. And maybe we can help them transition to somewhere else where the work is better, but maybe there's something we can do within that role, or even shift duties around with our team members to make the work more motivating. And I know that sounds like we're appeasing people, but we're trying to get them to do what they were hired to do. We're trying to get them to function at a high level. So sometimes we hire people to do the wrong thing. We hire people to do the things that make them miserable. And if we have an ability to shift that work around so that everybody is putting forth their best effort or getting to use their geniuses or that strength that they have, now we're helping them. Now we're getting them to do what they were hired to do, gain energy from it, and have energy to live life at home, which both of those things are going to contribute to them being more motivated in the workplace and to give them some of that founder juice that we were talking about. So how do we understand the will of people? We're going to first, the easiest one is let's look at the geniuses. It's fairly objective. So when we do assessments, if they're not 100% objective, there is a subjective component to it, but it's fairly objective. So we can look at it and say, okay, well, there's a clear disconnect between what this assessment says and what the work you're doing. So how are you feeling? So now we have a very concrete question to ask that's not insulting. It's just saying, oh my gosh, are you okay? I see that there's a disconnect. Are you okay? So that's step one. And we start to talk about that. We see what we can do. We create actions, whether they are shifting of responsibilities or sometimes just shifting a mindset and how we approach a role or a task. The next thing we want to start to investigate is, do you understand the overall vision, and starting to understand, what is going to motivate them? When people can really see that, oh, this floor sweeping that I'm doing is going to help build this cathedral, which is going to bring thousands of people through and bring them closer to God and celebrate his wonderfulness, like that is motivating. And sometimes we need more reminding of that in order to stay motivated. Okay, what do we need to do to clarify it or make sure they really understand it and they see their part in it? So that's another part. So now if we've done these things, we've continued to have these wonderful conversations with that person to say, okay, how's it going? How are you feeling? Are you operating your geniuses? Tell me what we're doing and how your role contributes to that. Like, have them tell you so that you can kind of see that they see. Now we can start to say, okay, we've done these things. We've made sure it's not a skill problem. Now we need to understand, okay, is this person in the right character that we want? That culture fit. I mean, the culture fit is the most critical thing when we hire somebody, because you can always train a skill, but that culture fit is critical. But you do have to weed out some of these other things. What really, really helps is having those core values very clearly identified and being able to see if the people that we hire, and doing maybe a check and balance, if all the people on the team exemplify the core values. So the reality is, when you're starting to investigate that will, you're basically doing like an investigation or a problem solve, like a testing, like a trial, experiments. I like my word experiments. You're doing experiments to test to see, is it these other two things, or is it the character is not aligned with our core values? So those are the kind of the overall. But again, that base is understanding yourself as the leader and understanding who's around you and how they need to operate. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it, like it, leave a review, and leave a comment on the YouTube video. And I hope to see you all on the next episode of the Business Building Blocks podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Building Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. If you found value in our conversation, please leave a quick review, like, or share. It helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. For more resources and insights, visit KristinaSchmitt.ca, where you can find tools and support to empower your leadership journey. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.